Design Camp, collaboration between HDII Jakarta and AHEC, supported by HIMKI and ADPII Jakarta. Today is our third classroom and mentor session with Mr. Roger Yeo and Mr. Edi Budiono. And let me introduce a bit about our speaker for today. Mr. Budiono is an importer, stockist, and wholesaler of most U.S. hardwood species, lumber, and veneer in Indonesia since 1990. Mr. Edi is CEO and owner of PT Abadi Indokona. And for Mr. Roger Yeo, Mr. Yeo is graduated from National University of Singapore in Bachelor of Arts, especially in Industrial Design with honors. He is recognized for award-winning design in the aspects of lifestyle and furniture. His work have been showcased in the exhibition during international furniture fairs and the awards of ceremony at Braun Prize in Kronberg, Germany. Okay, before we start, maybe there is some word from Mrs. Rina and Mr. John.
Oh, okay. Selamat siang semuanya. Thank you for coming, John, and all the speakers, all the mentor, actually, Pak Budiono dan Roger ya. So, terima kasih semuanya untuk para mentee, para mentor. Today is the last big class for the design camp. So, I would like to say thank you for everybody yang semangat dan terus masuk kelas mentor ya di design camp. Semoga di minggu depan semuanya hasilnya terbaik. We are going to submit the presentation on 25th of March, John. So sekali lagi, keep up the good work, keep up the semangat. Terima kasih Pak Budi dan Pak Roger. Terima kasih Arsita. Thank you John for coming today.
Hello. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good afternoon. Friends. And mentors, Edi Budiono and the mentees. And also thank you for HDII support together with HIMKI and ADP, II. And also the MC and all the people participate in this, and my colleagues Patty and Kiana. I wish you all were doing well and also benefit from the three classes mentored by Eddie today, and also the previous mentor Karen, Karina and Gerard Lim. They are both all of them are fantastic. So Rina, thank you very much. For cooperating with AHEC. I wish the event goes well, and today's the classes are successful classes, and you learn better than all of us. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Eddie.
Okay, thank you, Mrs. Rina and Mr. John. Okay, before we start, I'm going to remind the participants that you can ask a question to Mr. Budiono and Mr. Yeo in the chat box, and I'm going to read it in question and answer session. Okay, and don't forget to fill the attendance form. I'm gonna send the link in the chat box. So without the further ado, please welcome Mr. Budiono.
Hi, good afternoon all, and thank you for attending the class. I think I would rather use Bahasa Indonesia, but I think everyone know. Okay, John, let me.
Yes. Oh, okay. To also thank you, Roger Yeo. Okay, thank you, Roger.
Okay, I'm not designer. Or I'm not carpenter also, but I love wood. That's first. And this afternoon, I want to share my knowledge about lumber, especially imported, the lumber from United States, hardwood lumber, and especially it's about redwood. Okay, let me start with my screen, share screen. Kok nggak keluar ya? New share ya? You are sharing. Mana?
Ya, sudah keluar sih Pak materinya.
Hah? No, next.
Here.
Next. No, not working. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. It is my picture. Tree hugger, but I'm not really tree hugger. Tree hugger is sound like environmentalist, but I'm not. I love wood. Okay, so he's taken in United States when I hug a tree. But some believe that hugging the tree is, you know, like when you hug the tree, your hormone, the hormone can increase. Love hormone, we call it. So I do not know if you read on the, if you open on the Google about tree hugger. Okay, next. Oh, okay. I have a two. There is the one is cubic zirconica on the left, and the right is diamond. So this afternoon we are not going to talk about the other than wood. So we talk about wood, but I want to make the comparison of this. So this all good. Diamond and cubic zirconica are all good, but okay. Tetapi dari dua ini kita masalahnya soal asli atau tidak. So like what Pak Adi Nugraha said, wood is wood, you cannot replace with others. So jadi dua-duanya memang bagus, tapi kita tidak ada sintetis, tidak bisa diganti dengan, cannot be replaced with the synthetic, like synthetic wood, like yeah, you can say lah. And that's, I do not want to say here, but other than wood. So, okay, saya lanjutkan. So let me start with the back at the when we had at the back. At the high school, the lesson about the forest. So in the what there are three types of forest. That's one is on the light green. Is tropical rainforest. So we are at the tropical rainforest, Indonesia, Southeast Asia, like Congo Basin, and also Chile. So the Africa is Congo Basin and also Chile here. And there's the tropical rainforest is very dense and so heterogeneous. So many species there. And experts say that about 50% of the flora and fauna of the world are there. So very rich. Jadi kita harus maksudnya jangan sampai itu punah, kita jaga. Lalu ada di atasnya di atas ini subtropik ya, apa ini subtropik. Jadi ini yang green ini adalah temperate forest. Temperate forest ini atau kita bilang deciduous forest. Deciduous forest itu hutan yang daunnya gugur, ada 4 musim atau temperate forest ya, 4 musim. Terus di atasnya lagi itu ada namanya boreal forest. Boreal forest itu ada di dekat Arctic Circle atau kutub, ya daerah kutub. Itu biasanya tumbuhnya itu kebanyakan coniferous. Okay, next. So there are two classified di dunia ini diklasifikasi hanya ada 2, coniferous dan broadleaf trees. Jadi pohon itu ada 2 macam, coniferous dan broadleaf. Jadi itu dari daunnya ya. Jadi ini kalau coniferous kita sebut softwood, bukan berarti batangnya empuk atau soft, tapi ini karena ya nggak tahu terminationnya begitu, hanya seperti contohnya coniferous ini pinus itu softwood. Oke, ini notipine apa ini macamnya ya, salah satu macamnya. Lalu next itu hardwood. Hardwood ini dari deciduous forest, jadi warnanya banyak macam, terutama kalau musim gugur ya, itu indah sekali hutannya di sana. Jadi itu the falling leaf itu, dan lagi itu kelihatan sekali sebelumnya itu warna-warnanya ini bagus sekali, dan terutama yang merah ini kebanyakan red oak, ini red oak. Jadi yang ada red ini. Oke. Ini contohnya, salah satu contoh dari kayu spesies yang ada di temperate forest. Nah, ini di American Hardwood Forest ini kelihatannya seperti ini. Jadi warna-warni indah sekali. Lalu kepemilikan hutan di Amerika, itu dari data 2014, ini data juga dari American Hardwood Export Council. Itu di bagian Amerika bagian barat itu kebanyakan yang memiliki hutan itu adalah local government dan pemerintah pusat, yaitu yang merah itu ya. Terus itu state and federal yang mempunyai itu. Kebanyakan di situ kayunya kayu conifer, itu pinus. Dan ada juga corporate yang memiliki hutan di bagian barat. Corporate ini seperti kayak Weyerhaeuser, apa yang besar-besar itu dia memiliki ini nih. Terus yang untuk sebelah timur, Amerika bagian timur, itu kebanyakan yang memiliki hutan itu adalah petani, farmer. Jadi private owned, yang green ini private owned. Dan yang biru sedikit-sedikit yang di atas ini corporate juga seperti Bailey, Weyerhaeuser itu banyak sekali yang punya. Jadi bukan seperti di hutan kita, kalau hutan di Indonesia itu milik pemerintah, owned by government. Dan kita perusahaan-perusahaan hutan itu diberi hak pengusahaan hutan atau HPH. Dan itu ada masanya 20 tahun bisa ditambah lagi. Saya dulu bekerja di perusahaan hutan di Kalimantan dari akhir tahun 70 ya. Sekitar tahun 77 saya mulai bekerja di perusahaan hutan. Perusahaan hutan itu adanya di Kalteng dan mereka awalnya itu ekspor log. Jadi log saja yang diekspor. Industri belum banyak. Jadi sayang sekali dari setiap kali muat itu bisa bayangkan satu kapal 8.000 cubic meter, 8,000 cubic meter being exported to Japan or to Korea. Jadi karena kita belum ada industri. Terus lama-lama pemerintah mengurangi dengan tidak membolehkan ekspor log, lalu mengganti dengan ekspor lumber, hanya boleh lumber. Tapi banyak waktu itu pembatasannya itu ada satu jenis yang kita sangat sayangkan, mereka agak berkurang sekali dan hampir-hampir punah. Itu jenis namanya ramin di Indonesia ini. Ada namanya ramin. Dulu sangat terkenal sekali, tapi ini sekarang sudah under CITES, jadi nggak boleh sembarangan ditebang atau diekspor, diperdagangkan tidak boleh, larangan. Jadi itu karena ada spesies yang hampir punah. Baik, ini data-data dari ekspor hardwood oleh Amerika ke Indonesia. Jadi yang nomor 1 masih hardwood lumber, lognya sedikit, makin sedikit. Jadi yang ekspor log, yang import log dari Indonesia sini masih banyak dari Amerika, tapi jumlahnya tidak seperti yang lalu. Waktu itu pabrik plywood di Indonesia, di Kalimantan khususnya itu banyak sekali, ada 120 mil pabrik plywood itu sampai kira-kira pertengahan tahun 80, akhir tahun 90. Itu masih banyak. Kemudian pemerintah sudah mungkin mengurangi untuk pemotongan kayu, jadi agak berkurang dan beralih ke Indonesia, ke Jawa. Daerah Jawa banyak sekali pabrik plywood, tapi mereka dari plantation, dari kayu-kayunya diambil dari plantation. Nah ini Amerika masih kirim hardwood log, itu berupa red oak, white oak, mainly itu red oak, white oak, dan walnut, itu biasanya di slice untuk dibuat fancy. Kalau kita dulu mendengar fancy teak wood. Nah, itu teak wood itu adalah dalamnya kayu plywood biasa, ditempelin di atasnya diberi lapisan dengan jati sehingga dibilang teak wood. Nah, kalau kalau untuk red oak itu biasanya ditempel di substrate seperti ini. Oh, kelihatan nggak ya? Kurang jelas ya. Ini atasnya red oak, tapi di dalamnya ini ada blockboard. Ini substrate-nya ini dari Indonesia. Jadi dikerjakan di sini. Jadi kita bilang ini fancy blockboard, fancy red oak blockboard. Oke, jadi kembali ke data ini, US hardwood exported to value to Indonesia, jadi paling besar hardwood lumber masih. Nah, ada kenaikan, hardwood log makin berkurang dan hardwood veneer juga naik. Jadi ini angka-angkanya ini ya, yang paling besar itu kita nggak sebut ini white oak semua, tapi sebenarnya ini white oak dan red oak. Jadi ini hitungan statistiknya begini. Oke, buat adik-adik Mentis, what you need to know about wood is natural in steel. Natural in steel itu apa ya? Ya imperfection gitu. Jadi ada seperti kita ini juga ada namanya apa? Tai lalat atau tompel, tapi itu adalah asli ya. Asli artinya kalau kita kembali ke kayu itu tumbuh ya macam-macam, ada yang kena angin, ada yang dipatuk burung, jadi ada yang kena sakit, jadi itu semua jadi natural instill di kayu. Jadi seperti notch, mineral streak, pitch pocket, dan bell. Oke, nanti saya akan terangkan satu-satu. Yang paling sebelah kiri ini Pecky pecan ya, Pecky pecan. Jadi pohon pecan itu dipatukin burung sehingga terjadi cacat. Cacatnya ini ya cacat alam tapi ketutup lagi gitu. Terus kalau di slice itu jadinya seperti ini, seperti sebelah kiri. Terus kemudian yang tengah ini bowl ini wormy. Jadi kayu yang ada ulatnya. Nah ini menjadi karakteristik sendiri. Terus kemudian di bawahnya itu pickpocket. Jadi karena resin berlebihan sehingga dia keluar hitam-hitamnya. Jadi namanya pickpocket, kantong resin ya. Terus yang sebelah kanan ini, yang kanan atas ini knots. Knot ini macam-macam dari branches, dari cabang-cabang itu. Kalau dipotong keluar begini, knot begini. Terus yang paling bawah ini, yang kanan pojok bawah kanan ini yang kita sebut bell. Bell itu berasal dari ujung cabang-cabang atau akar ya, yang kalau di slice itu akan keluar corakan yang seperti ini. Ini semua menambah visual impact. Kalau untuk arsitek atau desainer mungkin mereka bosan dengan yang lain-lain, mungkin dia akan berpikir ke sini juga untuk memakai ini ya. Jadi untuk visual impact-nya. Terus when thinking about what wood to use in your project, 3 things to consider. 1, is it good quality? Is it suitable for what I need to use it for? And number 3 is it from a sustainable source? Is it good quality? Okay. Yes, ini kalau good quality itu must be machining very well. I mean, apa itu kiln dry, apa moisture content-nya juga harus perfect, yang sesuai dengan di lokasi kita, atau kita tidak bisa memakai kayu yang basah sekali atau baru dipotong, terus kita pakai untuk sesuatu item yang mana mereka akan berubah dan bisa apa macam-macam pecah dan lain-lain. Jadi harus kayu tersebut harus dikeringkan dengan benar-benar kering. Biasanya keluar dari kering ini moisture content-nya is around 8%. Tapi begitu ditaruh luar dia naik lagi moisture-nya. Terutama yang terutama kalau dikirim ke Indonesia itu kalau nggak nyimpennya juga hati-hati, mereka akan naik juga ngikutin local moisture content-nya. Jadi kalau beli kayu ya tentunya yang kering, yang baik, yang bisa dikerjakan, dan juga apakah machining dengan baik. Artinya ukurannya baik, nggak ada tebal tipis dan lain dan sebagainya. Terus kemudian grading, apakah mereka di-grade dengan benar? So American Hardwood Export periodically give grading rule lesson to Indonesian importer. Jadi how the grading rule. Jadi the gradingnya itu kalau di NHLA National Hardwood Lumber Association Standard yang harus diadopsi oleh semua pabrik kayu sawmill di Amerika, yaitu seperti contoh paling gambar nomor atas itu. Jadi di mana surface-nya itu dari kayu satu lembar yang panjangnya kurang lebih 12 feet atau 3,6 meter ya, 12 feet, 12 kali 3 ya, sekitar 3,6 meter. Itu ada surface yang bersih itu minimum 10 feet, itu bersih. Itu kita klasifikasikan sebagai FAS grade, first and second, itu paling atas. Lalu nomor 2 itu ada 2 potongan karena ada cacat di tengah. Nah ini grade-nya agak menurun, kita bilang ini grade number 1 common. Dan di nomor 3 itu juga makin kecil, ada yang sebelah kiri itu hanya 4 feet dan lebarnya hanya 6 inci aja. Ya, dari visualisasi ini. Jadi ini nomor 3 ini number 2 common, kurang lebih seperti itu. Terus kalau yang bawahnya juga ada number 3 common. Jadi ada, kalau Anda beli ya belinya yang tepat lah. Jadi jangan beli yang lihat project Anda bagaimana. So, is it suitable for what I need? Okay, there's a case. The challenge: client prefer clear oak kitchen cabinet. Budget does not justify for premium grade. So the solution is visible area. Jadi kalau ini kitchen cabinet, visible areanya we use the higher grade lumber. Non-visible or lower grade, you can use like for drawer inside the drawer or the drawer side. You can use the non-visible with the lower grade lumber. So this is the solution. Because if you use all the higher grade lumber, it's pricey. So budget does not justify for premium grade. Kecuali orang kaya yang benar-benar ya enggak, saya enggak mau kayu ada matanya, enggak ada lah. Itu mata sebenarnya yang bagus itu ada matanya di dalam sedikit supaya itu tadi instill ya, wood instill tadi. Nah, ini beberapa desain atau ada bench ya. Ini yang handcrafted, ini dari solid, potong-potongan kecil dari walnut diambil dianyam begini menjadi bench. Bench by First DIBS, handcrafted solid walnut. Nah, ini meja pingpong. Meja pingpong ini dari walnut. Jadi kalau dilihat dari sini tuh mejanya itu dari solid walnut dan kaki-kakinya ini ada dari kayu yang recycle wood yang dilapis dengan veneer. Jadi ini khusus untuk meja gini, ya akhirnya mahal sekali juga. Jadi karena desainnya bagus, karena aneh kan ya. Biasanya kalau di sini meja pingpong pakai MDF aja. Jadi ini mahal juga ini. Terus kemudian ada cupboard by First DIBS also, distress solid oak. Jadi yang dikeluarkan sini karakternya. Jadi distress itu kayu yang didistress ya, dicacakin. Jadi kayu yang bagus dicacatin itu. Anda kalau lihat sebelah kanan ini kelihatan sekali dihancurin lah, dikerowokin, nggak tahu pakai alat apa, didistress. Ini untuk menimbulkan visual impact-nya. Terus kemudian kalau lagi saya next, nah lihat harganya begini, contemporary, dinamakan contemporary brutalist. Jadi brutal style cupboard in solid oak dark, and the price is 10,992. Ya, ini per item US dollar. Ada yang beli gini. Oke, lanjut. Nah, ini ada utilize small cut lock and veneer with visual character. Jadi kalau veneer, mungkin Mentis dan adik-adik semua sudah terima kalau kepingin tahu veneer ya. Ini veneer. Ini saya pernah bagikan ke HDII. Jadi nanti kalau masih kurang lagi untuk veneer, nanti kami bisa supply lagi untuk adik-adik coba. Jadi ini kalau begini ini book matching. Atau kalau secara teknik kalau Anda mau mempelajari lagi boleh nanti kita atur untuk kumpul untuk kita lihatkan bagaimana cara menempel kayu dan lain-lain. Itu kalau Anda yang meminati itu. Jadi seperti ini kembali ke utilize small cut. Jadi ini potong-potongan sebelah kanan ini walnut. Jadi dipotong-potong ditempelkan ke substrate. Mungkin medianya bisa MDF, bisa blockboard. Dengan bagian luarnya veneer walnut. Jadi jadinya begini. Oke, kembali ke species diversity. Jadi hutan di Amerika, kalau temperate hardwoodnya, itu majority-nya oak. Jadi kita ada American red oak 18%, American white oak 15%. Jadi masih berlimpah ruah. Jadi red oak itu tumbuh subur di United States, mostly di bagian timur. Yang lainnya itu ada ash, ada hickory, ada cherry, maple. Maple biasanya dipakai untuk gitar. Dan kalau walnut itu biasanya gunstock ya, buat gagang pistol apa itu banyak yang terkenal pakai walnut. Atau gitar juga ada yang sticknya pakai walnut juga. Ini gambaran hard maple logs atau Acer saccharum ya. Saccharum ya. Acer saccharum itu nama botanical name-nya. Ini masih IC. Jadi biasanya mereka tebang ini pada saat musim dingin. Kalau musim panas untuk log-log seperti maple itu akan cenderung nanti blue stain dan rusak. Jadi mereka tebang pada saat yang tepat. Kemudian ini adalah satu proyek di Melbourne yang memakai maple. Kalau di sini awalnya dulu maple banyak dipakai di kalau yang Starbucks ya, Starbucks ada yang pakai maple. Kalau ada lagi di Sushi Teh itu banyak pakai maple juga. Terus ini American walnut, ini bentuknya lognya. Jadi tengahnya itu dinamakan hardwood-nya itu ya, itu warnanya coklat. Lalu di dekatnya itu ada namanya sap-nya yang putih itu. Nah, ini desain dengan walnut, KPMG Bird. Nah, ini kebetulan kamar saya yang di Semarang. Saya ada satu rumah apartemen lah. Itu saya pakai walnut dan beech, kayu beech. Nah ini walnutnya juga macam-macam yang saya pakai ini. Ini ada sepi ya, ini ada shape-nya juga, ada matanya, ada shape-nya. Nah, ini jadi saya nggak pakai yang number one juga, jadi ya pakai yang ada tadi ya ada instilnya tadi, karakternya saya keluar, jadi untuk visual impact-nya jadi bagus juga. Kalau saya bilang bagus, tapi nggak tahu yang lain. Atau we call it wabi-sabi ya. Kalau di Jepang terkenal wabi-sabi. Beauty of imperfection. Beauty of imperfection. Itu wabi-sabi. Nah, ini kita ke main point-nya American Red Oak atau Quercus rubra. Nama botanical name-nya Quercus rubra. Ada dua macam, American Red Oak and American White Oak. Quercus alba. Oke, kita lihat video sebentar tentang apa itu bedanya Red Oak dan White Oak. Oke.
Pak Edi, maaf, dari videonya belum ada suaranya ya Pak ya?
Nggak ada suaranya?
Ya Pak, belum terdengar. Atau mungkin kurang kencang ya Pak ya?
Oke, itu tadi video tentang bedanya white oak dan red oak. Kalau red oak itu kenapa dibilang red oak? Tadi dari daunnya itu memang memerah. Kalau musim deciduous itu sebelum musim gugur itu daunnya merah. Itu dari situ sama dari kulitnya kita bisa bedakan. Dan memang dari kayunya memang kelihatan sekali bedanya antara red oak dan white oak. Itu dari porusnya ya. Red oak lebih berporus. Jadi kalau untuk outdoor itu biasanya white oak lebih tahan. Kalau untuk penggunaan outdoor seperti untuk bench yang tadi kapal USS Constitution itu memakai white oak. Oke, saya lanjutkan. Ini kantor Bloomberg di London ya yang memakai red oak. Lalu ini ada oak lumber dan veneer ini di salah satu pabrik di Semarang yang memproduksi red oak table, recline table ya. Itu dari yang biasanya dijual di Muji, dia menjualnya di Muji. Jadi pabriknya di Semarang itu memakai oak lumber dan veneer. Kemudian pabrik yang sama di Semarang juga membuat bangpet dari oak. Bangpet ini modelnya saya suka karena dia bisa di extend ya. Jadi bisa dilepas, dibuat satu dan bisa dijadiin dua. Ini dijual di Muji memang ya mahal sekali kalau dijual di Muji. Tapi Muji kayaknya di sini sudah nggak ada ya. Yang ada masih di Singapura, masih ada Muji, Jepang. Nah, ini tentang oak mudah sekali di carve, ditata atau diukir. Jadi ini saya dulu pernah ekspor dari awal-awal tahun 90 itu saya ekspor fireplace mantle ke United States dengan memakai kayu mahoni. Tapi sering terjadi klaim karena masalah crack dan walaupun sudah dikelen ya, itu sampai di Amerika pecah. Jadi sering bermasalah. Lalu saya coba pakai red oak dan di carve. Tentunya harganya jauh lebih mahal, ya, ada added value-nya. Terus kemudian sampai sana mengurangi pecah dan memang hasilnya cukup bagus. Tapi akhir-akhir ini kami tidak ekspor lagi ke Amerika untuk ini karena kalah bersaing dengan produk-produk dari negara lain yang memakai mesin. Jadi carving-nya dirubah jadi pakai sekarang pakai CNC jadi lebih cepat memproduksinya. Jadi ini contoh handcrafted by home industry in Jepara. Is it from sustainable source? Jadi ini saya bacakan sedikit ya tentang climate change and responsible building is an important topic right now, especially when you are considering a green construction project. An increasing consideration is whether your choice in material hurt the environment and if they are sustainable or renewable. All of these questions are important. And when it comes to wood, you can rest assured that using wood does not negatively affect the climate. In fact, wood remains one of the most bountiful and versatile building material, providing many benefits that are not found in other building materials such as steel, plastic, and concrete. So kalau di Amerika kita menebang pohon itu mereka owner tadi, yang owner dari farmer atau we call it farmer, owner dari yang punya pohon-pohon tadi itu kalau mau nebang itu mereka juga benar-benar harus ada izin, dan izinnya itu dari kayak di sini dari kehutanannya, dan tentunya itu Forest Service and Inventory Analysis ini bekerja sama dengan NASA. Mereka bisa tracking kayu-kayu atau pohon-pohon yang sudah waktunya boleh ditebang, artinya diameternya dan lain-lain. Jadi farmer di sana atau pemilik lahan yang yang ada kayunya yang akan dipotong itu sangat responsibel sekali. Artinya tidak sembarangan main potong habis, tidak. Dia kayaknya untuk legacy juga, kayak untuk turunan. Oh, dia punya tanah segini, ada kayunya nanti, jadi karena dia bisa menghitung harga kayunya sendiri. Nah, ini menarik. Ini kalau Anda masuk ke webnya American Hardwood Export Council, itu ada namanya Life Cycle Assessment Tool. Jadi di sini bisa tracking dan bisa lihat bagaimana kecepatan dari regenerate red oak di Amerika. Atau kayu-kayu lain, Anda bisa klik di sebelah kiri. Jadi menurut di sini dari Life Cycle Assessment Tool, hanya 0,8 detik untuk regenerasi dari 1 kubik red oak, pohon red oak. Jadi sangat cepat sekali. Yang tumbuhnya kayaknya dari diekspor dan dipakai sendiri itu double. Jadi berlimpah ruah itu untuk red oak-nya. Sebenarnya kalau di kita pun, kalau kayu itu tidak maksudnya tebangnya pakai aturan, artinya nggak ngawur ditebang habis, atau dengan kalau di sini tebang pilih Indonesia, tebang pilih Indonesia itu di HPH diharuskan, jadi itu diameter yang bisa ditebang mungkin 50 cm ke atas ya, jadi nggak sembarangan boleh ditebang, kayu kecil-kecil nggak boleh ditebang. Nah ini pengalaman saya sudah tidak bekerja lagi di hutan ini sudah sejak kira-kira 40 tahun. Tapi kira-kira 10 tahun yang lalu saya ke hutan, kembali ke tempat di mana waktu saya bekerja dulu, penebangan hutan. Itu saya lihat sudah lain sama sekali, sudah tidak, I cannot recognize the place. Jadi itu semua sudah kembali ke hutan lagi. Jadi regenerasinya bagus sekali di rainforest kita itu. Ya sayangnya ada orang-orang yang tidak bertanggung jawab dengan menebang brutalnya, menjadikan hutan jadi perkebunan atau lahan apalagi. Nah itu yang kurang bagus. Baik, ini ada video lagi, nggak tahu waktunya masih ada nggak ya. Ini ada tentang cara motong kayu di Amerika. Oke, baik. Nanti kalau kira-kira kebanyakan ya kita stop dulu. Oke. Halo.
Ya, Pak Edi.
Sudah ya, cukup. Mungkin terlalu panjang, nanti kami cut aja kalau ada yang minta video ini.
Iya, Pak. Saya sudah share link videonya di kolom komen.
Iya, ini sebentar. Ini kok bisa keluar ini ya?
Boleh bantu saya stop share-nya,
No.
Pak?
Can you stop, Yvonne?
Oke. Sudah ya, Pak ya?
Halo. Stop,
Pak?
stop aja videonya
Iya,
deh.
sudah, Pak.
Sudah, Pak Edi. Videonya sudah di-stop, Pak.
Halo.
Sudah, Pak.
Kita nggak bunyi ya? Kita nggak bunyi ya? Sudah ya? Ini
Ya.
masih bunyi terus ini di sini. Wait. Oke.
Oke, Pak Edi berarti sudah ya, Pak ya? Oke, thank you.
Okay, I think that's all from me. Then I think Roger will continue. So important thing is God provide everything for our need, but not for our greed. Okay, so remember that. So kalau pakai yang wisely lah, pakai kayu yang wise, yang baik, yang jadi itu jadi kita protect hutan kita juga supaya jangan habis gitu untuk generasi yang selanjutnya. Baik, terima kasih. Kalau ada pertanyaan yang lain nanti atau selanjutnya habis ini Roger ya. Roger will share about the finishing, I think. Finish. Oke.
Yes, okay.
Oke, saya kembalikan ke
Thank
Haru.
you, Mr. Budiono, for your presentation. Now we can continue to Mr. Roger for the presentation.
Okay. So, hello everyone. Let me share my screen first. Okay. So, hello, Pak Edi, Mr. John Chan, Ibu Rina, Miss Karina, Abi, Yvonne, and everyone here. Firstly, thank you, Pak Edi, for the informative presentation. So, let me continue. So, after choosing the wood, designing and constructing your piece, the last important step is finishing. So I'll be touching on wood finishing. Okay. Before that, finishing brings out the beauty of the wood and completes the design, the finishing touch. But before I start, just a little bit about myself first. As I'm an NUS grad, industrial design major. I'm from Singapore and been living and working here in Indonesia for, I think, the past 10 years. I focus mainly on designing custom furniture for interior spaces for both home and commercial projects. Currently, I'm in Kalimantan to inspect and supervise some projects. So if the video lags, you know why lah. Internet access here not very smooth. So the types and varieties of finishes, there are many different varieties. So I will cover very generally, touching on the popular types used here locally in Indo. So the first is stains and dyes. Wood stains, they are available in a variety of colors. Finish is best suited where the stain is darker than the color of the wood. So if you're using like a dark wood, such as ebony, which is like almost black, you won't get any effect. So the choice of the color in the wood is very important. So generally, stains are used to enhance the color of the woodwork to achieve uniformity when there's inconsistency in the appearance of the wood. It also brings out and enhances the visibility of the grain. The final outcome will depend on a number, The final outcome will depend on the number of coats applied on the wood surface. So stains can be applied with a brush or a cloth, and you can sand lightly after every coat of stain, keeping it smooth, because the dye, it dries relatively quick. Do note that this stain and dye, the finish, doesn't really protect the wood. Once the wood stain is applied, a final coat of wood must be applied to protect the wood, which we will discuss later. So here's an example from Propan wood stain. As you can see here, example is Sungai wood. So for the very first coat to the second coat, after every coat, the color gets darker and darker. So after you have achieved the color you wanted, a top coat finish must be applied, and it's usually clear and transparent to preserve the color and to also protect the wood. Next, oils, minyak tapi bukan minyak goreng. Wood oil finishes improve the appearance of the unfinished wood for protection and decoration. Popular oils are like linseed oil and tung oil. They both come from plants. As you can see here, this is the nut of the tung oil and the seeds of the linseed oil. These natural oils present in the wood dries out after the wood is being cut as time passes. So these oils replace the natural oil lost and enhance the natural grain. The oil seeps into the wood, but it doesn't form a layer. So it makes the wood look richer with warm and natural. Protection of oil is still lower compared to the upcoming type of finishes. Example of oil is natural oil, is a mineral oil. This mineral oil is popularly used on wooden utensils because it's non-toxic and relatively food safe. Next, popular is Danish oil. It's durable, normally used for solid wood. Oil and tung oil, but with varnishes. So moving on, what is varnish? So the more common forms of wood finishes are varnishes. Varnish is made out of solvents and resin. They usually come colorless and transparent. Can be used in the interior and exterior of wooden objects. Varnishes give a very good UV protection. They dry slowly, and the application over stains give them better protection. So example of varnish are yap varnishes. They are very protective and decorative varnishes and are highly resistant to water, salt, and sunlight. So they are mainly used for like boats, ships, protecting outdoor furniture and sport equipment from harsh environmental factors. There are also more popular varnishes like the upcoming one, which is PU. I'm sure you have heard PU before, right? So actually PU stands for polyurethane. It's actually kind of a super tough varnish, acting as a protective coating that forms a solid layer of plastic when applied on a wooden surface. This finish primarily comprises of resins that make it much stronger than standard varnishes. It's highly flexible and even can be used on curved surfaces. PU coatings give wood excellent resistance to abrasion, scratches, and impacts. Additionally, highly resistant to boiling water also, and also harsh chemicals, because it's basically a coating of plastic. And PU coatings can be classified into two different categories: solvent-based and water-based. So for solvent-based PU, it's actually using, sorry, yeah. It's actually using really harmful substances because it's solvent-based. So these solvents, they release strong odors and toxic fumes during application because they contain high levels of VOC. VOC which is volatile organic compounds. Whereas on the other hand, water-based polyurethane creates a clear, transparent plastic coat, but has much lower levels of VOCs. Emits fewer odors, but dries very fast. And this PU finish can achieve various types of glossiness, ranging from matte all the way to high gloss, which I illustrate in the next few slides. So we have A, B, C, and D. From A, you can tell it's matte, while D is gloss, and somewhere in between semi-gloss, and over here satin. Moving on, the very popular finish, also a type of varnish, is lacquer. So lacquer is also very fast drying. It's a thin solvent-based finish when compared to other finishes. It reaches into the wood, nourishes it, and improves the grain of the wood. Can be easily applied using brush, but normally it's applied by spraying. So it evaporates upon spraying and cures the wood at the same time. So the wood dries and also removes moisture from the wood itself. A lacquer finish can be easily scratched and damaged when in contact with water because it's just a thin solvent. If it does show wear over time, it can be actually recoated and polished also to make it new and good again. So some differences between PU and lacquer. As I said before, PU acts as a plastic protective surface, which protects the wood, whereas lacquer, it's being absorbed into the wood. It's like water. So it bonds together with the wood. Next, PU, actually, because it's plastic, so it's more durable and strong. Whereas lacquer, you can actually scratch it pretty easily. But if it's scratched or dented, it's the easiest to fix for lacquer, because after applying a new coat of the lacquer, will actually help dissolve the outer coat below, and the imperfections are actually smoothed out when the new coat is applied. So we've been talking about VOC just now, right? So back to VOCs, protecting margin nature is actually important. And the finishes that we use and being used by large corporations nowadays have a very big impact on the environment. So being eco-friendly, there's a big shift towards water-based finishing. because VOCs are actually very, very dangerous. When released into the air, they react and form low level or ground level ozone, which is a high contributor to global warming and acid rain. And when we inhale it, it will also cause severe health issues in humans. So thus, we have water-based finishing. So actually water-based is that some of the solvents that produces this VOC is replaced with actual water, which is less harmful. So in a way, they contain far lesser amounts of VOCs. Like this local, I'm sure you heard of Molex. They come up with this water-based wood stain with ultra low VOC certified. And this finishing can also be used for outdoor finishes, exterior. Next, using traditional and natural finishes like linseed oil and tung oil, which are made from plants, as mentioned earlier. Like this propan teak oil, which is a natural wood finish made from chosen boiled linseed oil. And then there's also the mineral oil, which is generally non-toxic in nature. So all this are more eco-friendly towards the environment than compared to solvent-based coatings. Next, some tips before application of the finishing on your furniture or wood surfaces to help you save time and get a good surface finish. Okay, you can shine light at a low angle across the wood so it can reveal any imperfections, and then you can slowly sand them out. And next, about sanding. Treat all areas equally using the same progression of sandpaper. So like you can start with grit 80, slowly sanding away all the blemishes, and then moving on to 120, finally 240, or even a higher grit, so that you get a smooth finish. But using these grits not very vital as long as you progress in ascending order, removing deeper scratches and clearing finer scratches each time. And this is also very important. Always sand along the grain. Scratches are harder to see when they run parallel to the grain. Even the lighter scratches across the grain are obvious, especially after you stain or a few coats of finishing. So it's best to check after the first coat of application. It will normally reveal the flaws that can be sanded off lightly to achieve a smooth, beautiful final finish. Okay, so let me end with a short quiz about finishing. If possible, everyone can unmute to participate this quiz. Okay. So this is a home interior. You can see it's using many different types of wood, parquet flooring, solid wood furniture. So take a look closely, and I will highlight 5 items from this picture. Okay. Anyone can tell me which type of finishing will be most suitable for this item? A is like a wooden outdoor divider. Anyone?
For the participant, you can unmute and answer the question from Mr. Yeo.
No one unmuted.
Maybe
Come
they're
on,
still
mentees.
thinking, Mr. Yo.
A, anyone? It's for outdoor.
Oh, there is someone who answered the question in the chat
In the chat,
box.
is it?
Yeah.
Okay, let me see. Yeah. Oh, I'm sharing screen, so I can't really see the chat. Let me see. Okay, here. Polyuterine. It's possible, yes, because it's a sort of varnish. Correct. So actually, polyuterine can actually be used for outdoor, but the correct answer should be type of varnish which is suitable for outdoor usage. Okay, moving on to B. B is like a wooden bread plate. This should be pretty easy. Or you can drop a chat, like what Fitra did. Anyone? Susanti said mineral oil. Yep, that's right. Because this is a bread plate, so you put bread in it. So the finishing must be food safe and non-toxic. Okay, very good, Susanti. Moving on to C. Normal dining table. Anyone? PU again. Yes, PU is possible. But just now, as I mentioned, there's a Danish oil, which is a mixture of oil and varnishes, or even lacquer will be possible. Yeah, correct also. And now to D, which is like a high gloss parquet flooring. I mentioned high gloss. So which finishing can achieve really high gloss finishes? Okay. So actually for high gloss and for flooring, the best is to use PU too, because it's really hard wearing. Moving on to E, the staircase, wooden staircase. So actually it's almost the same as D. PU can be used, but as you know, PU is like plastic. So actually some people like the feel of the wood texture instead of the plasticky feel of PU. So in overall, there's actually no one correct answer. To choose the type of finish that you want based on the requirements needed, and also what finish and effect you want to achieve based on your knowledge and what you have learned today. Okay, So that's the end of my presentation. Thanks for kind attention. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the presentation.
Yeah,
I think it's really interesting personally about the eco-friendly because it's indeed very important, especially in nowadays.
Yes,
And
yes.
it's actually very interesting about the quiz. Okay, now we can start the question and answer session. You can just raise your hand or just put it in the comment box. And while we wait for the question, maybe there is some words from Mrs. Rina or from other mentors.
Yeah, thanks, Arsita. While we waiting, all the mentees giving the question. I think they're very shy. But anyway, thanks Pak Budi and Mr. Rogers for the very technical and very inspiring and nice presentation.
Yes,
I think
welcome.
it's very important for the designer to know the technique and the processing and very detailed how to finishing the wood. Yeah, Roger, that's
Yes, yes.
very detailed because sometimes not only furniture designer, here all the interior designers also should know this kind of knowledge.
Mhm.
So anyway, thanks a lot. Arsita, I think we need some question from the mentor, but if not, while we're waiting, invite all the mentor here. Ada Pak Abi, Pak Adi, Ibu Ranu, dan Pak Hendro. Maybe they have a question also, because regarding the design, all the mentees, all these mentor know all the design, so they giving the information also for the mentees. So silakan mentor, ada pertanyaan untuk Pak Budi atau Pak Roger, karena sebetulnya di kelas-kelas kemarin itu banyak juga ya pertanyaan-pertanyaan teknis. Mumpung ada Pak Budi dan Pak Roger di sini, all the expert. Silakan, saya lihat ada Abi, ada Mas Adi, Mbak Ranu, boleh bertanya ya, mungkin para desainnya agak malu-malu nih. Silakan bertanya.
Ya, selamat sore. Pak Edi, untuk Pak Edi, aku mau tanya Pak, ada beberapa menti yang tanya mengenai red oak untuk outdoor Pak, penggunaan outdoor. Terima kasih Pak.
Iya Pak, iya, oke. Jadi tadi ya sifat-sifat red oak itu agak porus. Jadi kalau ditaruh di outdoor itu kayaknya nggak cocok Pak. Harus white oak Pak, lebih tahan. Indro. Jadi kalau red oak itu recommend ya bisa tapi nanti kalau karena dia banyak berporus jadi sifat kayunya jadi kurang rapat gitu. Jadi takutnya malah kayak cepat decay ya, cepat rusak. Tapi kalau untuk red oak di dalam nggak ada masalah sama sekali, mau buat kitchen cabinet, mau joinery, mau apalah untuk di dalam untuk flooring khususnya juga nggak ada masalah, bagus sekali. Oke, kira-kira itu yang
Pak.
saya jawab.
Walaupun dengan finishing tertentu juga tidak recommended ya Pak ya?
Nggak recommended Pak, nggak recommended.
Sip. Oke.
Kalau white oak boleh dicoba, tapi white oak sama itu sebenarnya kalau kita nggak tahu itunya itu sedikit sekali, kita kadang-kadang susah Pak bedain white oak sama red oak.
Oke. Terima kasih Pak Edi.
Halo. Oke Pak Indro. Terima kasih.
Okay. There's one
Yang
question
lain?
for Mr. Roger from Area 1. Hello, Mr. Roger. Do you have any suggestion the best finish for neutral look and solid color for kids furniture? Thank you.
Or for kids. So actually for kids furniture, the actual finishing you can actually use is varnishes, but varnishes which is water-based, not solvent-based, because it's less toxic and less VOCs. And for varnishes is actually mostly transparent, so it will really depends on what type of wood you would choose and what stain you're going to use. So for the best natural look, yeah, just go with varnishes.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Edger, for
Yep.
the answer. I hope that answer for area 1.
Mhm.
Okay, next, there's another question for
Bisa.
Mr. Budiono. From Adisti, selamat sore Pak. Saya mau bertanya ke Pak Edi, apakah ada maksimum bending untuk material red oak?
Maksimum bending. Jadi maksimum bending itu kalau untuk pekerjaan-pekerjaan yang bending ya itu ada data. Kalau mau jelas nanti ada, jadi pada lengkungan berapa yang seratnya itu sampai patah. Jadi itu nanti ada datanya. Memang kami ada datanya untuk sampai berapa kelenturannya yang bisa dipakai. Tapi saya sarankan untuk bending itu kalau seperti untuk meja ya, itu umpamanya di tengah, di pinggirnya kan pasti pakai bending. Itu ada dipotong-potong aja bagian-bagian yang, jadi memang harus memerlukan beberapa, kalau lumber harus beberapa lembar gitu untuk agak dilengkungkan gitu potongnya. Tapi kalau untuk bending sendiri itu ada hitungannya. Jadi takut sampai ke lenturan sampai patah. Kira-kira itu. Tapi saat ini saya nggak ada datanya. Jadi itu kan juga tergantung dari ketebalan kayunya, yang kayu berapa tebal yang akan di-bend. Kira-kira itu jawabannya, cuman nggak exact. Bisa pasti bisa di-bend, tapi bend itu kan pakai itu ya, kayak biasanya kayak ada pemanasnya. Jadi nggak cuma dilengkungin biasa aja. Kalau mau kayak gitu ya pakai plywood dilengkungkan. Atau dilapis model 1 layer by layer. Kira-kira itu jawaban saya.
Oke, terima kasih Pak Budiono. Ada satu pertanyaan lagi dari menti kita.
Saya tambahkan sedikit ya. Silakan.
Pak, ada pertanyaan dari Aaron. Hello Mr. Eddie, thank you for sharing important information to us, the designer. I want to ask about what is the most common wood dimension that we can get from imported wood? Is there any standard or dimension range for its width and thickness? Thank you.
Say again about any sorry bisa diulang Anis Arsita, apa yang ditanyakan tadi about what?
Pertanyaannya, I want to ask about what is the most common wood dimension that we can get from imported wood? Is there any standard or dimension range for its width and thickness?
Okay, if you are asking for lumber, red oak lumber, available in the market is from the 1 inch to 2.54 cm ya. Itu thicknessnya, itu rough, masih rough lumber, maksudnya belum descending. Then maximum is 2 inches, 8/4. Because the thicker the lumber, it is more expensive and difficult to dry. So is it answering your question? Halo.
Bagaimana? Apakah sudah menjawab untuk akun Aristo? Dia minta diulang, Pak.
Mentis, if you like to have more detail or specific, karena di forum ini mungkin nggak banyak waktu ya. If you need more detail about the wood, about the red oak, white oak, you can contact through HDII, or ya nanti we can arrange the tour. You can also visit my warehouse. So what is available in the market, or like veneer or lumber. So like so you know better, and how to apply, especially when you ask about the how to make the plywood and overlaid with the red oak veneer, etc. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Budiono. And I think this is going to be the last question.
Hello, feel free to ask about the.
Okay. And there's another question for Mr. Roger from Nabil Basalama. Hi, Mr. Roger, and thank you for the presentation. How long does red oak wood finishing last? That's the question.
Red oak finishing. Actually, there's no specific finishing for red oak. As I said previously, there are many different types of finishes, and you want the finishing, or how long does it last? Okay, so for oils, as I said previously, oil is naturally occurring in wood. So after some time, the oil will actually be lost through time, and oils can be replenished onto the surface of the wood. So if for oils again, maybe it can last 6 months to 1 year, depending on the temperature and the climate for oils. And for next, if you want to use varnishes like PU and lacquer, PU is the longest lasting. And for lacquer, yeah, it can also last pretty long, but as it's a thin layer, it's not as long as PU. Yep. So if you're asking me what is most suitable for red oak and the longest lasting, I think you can go with lacquer if you really want to preserve the feel, the touch of the actual wood itself. But if you really want to achieve like a very high protection with glossiness, you can go with PU. Yep. That's all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Roger, for the answer. I think there is
Roger,
Yep.
I agree
Yes.
with. Hey Roger, I think your statement. I like your statement. I mean, like on the polyurethane, it's like plastic. So you do not feel like you touch the wood.
Yes,
it's plastic.
Right.
It's like you touch the synthetic things.
Correct.
So, yeah. Okay.
Okay, I think there is one more question from Mr. Abi. Mr.
Yes,
Abi,
Abi.
unmute now.
Hi, Roger. How are you? Long time
Hey,
no
Abi.
see.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. I think this question is both for Roger and Pak Edi. Adisti previously asking about the limitation for bending. Yeah. Well, actually, some of the participants are designing something with bending properties. So I suggest them to explore or try the I think the lumber bent wood or some kind like that. So my question is, does Pak Edi or Roger have experience on bending the certain kind of thickness of this lumber profile, or do you have any recommendation for any workshop in Indonesia that you know have the possibility or capability to use this technique? So I think that's all. If it is supposed to be a bend ply or veneer, red oak veneer bending, and you also know which company that have this experience, I think you could also share or share your knowledge about it. Thank you.
Pak Edi?
Can I answer, Roger?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, I answer. Pak Abi, I think for the bending of the solid, frankly I never tried, but it depends on the how thick the lumber you are going to bend. If this too thick, I think is difficult, and you have to use like the you have to make the wood a little bit soft by like impregnate it or put in the like kind of moist to bend it. But really I do not know how to bend it. But on the plywood, or the veneer, using the veneer for bending is common. There's a company here making the the chair using the veneer with the bending, so it's not difficult for that. So layer by layer, it's not difficult. And I think 2 months ago I visited the Pika in Semarang, Academy Pika at Pika. Yeah, they make the bending with the oak, but made of the veneer. So they asked me what is the thickness that is available in the market. So I said mostly is 0.6. So can be a lot of plies, to bend it. But it's not difficult to bend if you are using it's not solid wood. Answering your question, Bobby. Let's try. If you want to try, let's try.
Yes, we want. Do you still have the cold press tools for veneer inlays? I think previously we borrowed some from Indorona, I think some years ago.
It work only for the veneer. It's not for the solid. I think it work only for the veneer with the press. But for the cold press, real cold press, I think there is a piano manufacturer in Jakarta or in Bandung, many, and they are using the bending part. This all made of plywood. I mean, ply. It's not solid wood. Solid wood can be bent for sure, but it depends on how thick you are going to bend. If too thick, I think it's impossible. It's a little bit, it's hard and easy to crack. So if you wish to try, you may try, but I do not know. You have to cut into what is the thickness that you are going to bend it. Okay, back to you, Abi.
How about you, Roger? Do you know someone that could help to explore this?
For me, basically previously I tried myself using vacuum forming. So like using veneer, like what Pak Eddie said, 0.6 mm. I do it layer by layer. So each layer of veneer with white glue, paste together, form the shape that I want, and put into a vacuum forming, sort of like you vacuum up the air, and the veneer will be molded onto a mold that I've created. Like it's like a curve or a bowl shape. So through vacuum forming, but for furniture, I'm not very sure because it's a big scale. The project that I did was on accessories. So it's possible by using wood veneer by vacuum forming. Yep, but for furniture wise, because like let's say like a chair, it really needs strength. So this vacuum forming of veneer, I haven't really explored how much strength it can take. And as for like companies doing this, yeah, sadly, I haven't explored or know anyone that can do this. Yeah. Hopefully this helps.
Thank you, Pak Edi and Roger.
Yep.
Ada from Karina, from Miss Karina, sepertinya dia mau menjawab juga. Miss Karina, you can unmute.
Hi, first of all, sorry, I'm cooking. But kita tadi lagi ngomong bending ya. Tapi kalau bending tuh dia biasanya there's two types. One is cold forming, okay. Second thing is actually hot, okay. Kalau yang cold forming, biasanya kalau in our factory kita use a machine, dia pakai bending ply, habis itu dia di atasnya dia pakai veneer. Jadi it's a two-part mold yang di press. Nah, oke, itu satu. Kalau misalnya, nah, bending plywood itu tekniknya itu seperti, plywood is thin sheets of solids that is pressed together. Okay. Jadi, in terms of like bending plywood, I think you can do the same idea. Okay. Tapi kalau misalnya solid, itu harus di steam dulu. Jadi seperti rotan. Ya kan, Abi kan, rotan you need to steam the rotan, so the fiber will be more pliable, and then habis itu baru di put in a steel form. Okay, if you look at an example, misalnya tonnet chair. Okay, tonnet chairs is using totally solid wood. And they do the same thing. They put it in the steamer, you steam the wood, and then you bend it over a steel form. That's it. That's my little bit of bending from my end. Kalau untuk veneer is lebih gampang, karena veneer itu kan dia tipis 0,7 mili. Jadi kita bisa press, tapi harus dengan harus ganjil dan harus grainsnya itu harus 90 derajat, supaya dia bisa keep formnya. Jadi nggak bisa semuanya satu arah grain, tapi grainnya harus kayak ketupat, right? Kayak nyaman. So I think that's my kind of like input on bending.
Terima kasih Bu Karina udah bantu jawab, itu lengkap banget ya informasinya. Semoga menjawab pertanyaan dari Pak Abi. Dari Pak Abi bagaimana Pak?
Terima kasih. Masak apa Mbak Karina? Do you still make the cold brew coffee? Also?
Bu Karina belum di-unmute.
Yeah, I do make cold brew coffee. Tapi hari ini saya lagi masak ayam.
Oke. Ada satu pertanyaan lagi dari Fitra untuk Pak Edi. Pak Edi, apakah Red Oak cukup kuat untuk komponen struktur, Pak? Itu pertanyaannya.
Struktur apa ya? Struktur ini yang jelas strukturnya struktur apa? Struktur furniture atau struktur rumah?
Pak Fitra mungkin boleh unmute, Kak.
Kak. Halo. Halo. Kalau struktur ya, kalau untuk strukturnya furniture nggak ada masalah, bisa kuat aja. Tapi kalau untuk struktur rumah ya kayaknya not recommended lah. Biasanya red oak digunakan untuk ya kebanyakan flooring atau untuk ya kalau untuk buat kusen sih oke, kusen untuk door jamb ya, door jamb atau solid door is okay. But for the structure big construction, I think it's not. Nggak tahan lah.
Okay, thank you, Pak.
Is it answering your question?
Pak Fitra, maybe you can unmute. Okay. Yeah. Thank you from Kak Fitra. There's one more question. For Pak Roger, ada yang bertanya apakah PPT-nya tadi boleh di-share, Pak, ke murid-murid? Pak, belum di-unmute ya?
Ya, sorry. Ya bisa ya. Nanti saya bisa kirim lewat email lah yang PPT itu.
Oke, thank you, Pak.
Ya.
Okay, there's no more question from the mentees or the mentor. Okay. I want to say thank you for all of the participants that already comes for today. Before closing, maybe we can open the video and let's take a picture together for the documentation. I'm gonna wait for all of the participants to open the camera. Oke, udah lumayan banyak yang open, masih tunggu sampai slide ke-2 atau ke-3. Masih ditunggu ya kalau ada yang mau nyalain lagi. Oke, aku take sekarang. Buat slide yang pertama, 1, 2, 3. Oke, wait. Slide kedua.
Ada adik.
1, 2, 3. Kita mau open cam. Udah, thank you everyone. Okay.
Halo, last but not least.
Ya.
Halo.
Iya, Pak.
Kalau ya, last but not least, if you wish our mentee wish to have more sample, if mentees would like to have more sample on the veneer, red oak veneer, it's available for free. So contact HDI HDII untuk dapatkan itu. Jadi kami sediakan, mau dicoba mau buat apa boleh, mau buat curve, mau dilapis-lapis juga boleh. Just let me know. Okay, that's it.
Thank you, Pak Edi, informasinya. Okay, last information for all of the mentees, for the mentor. Our final design submission itu ada di tanggal 25 Februari. Nanti presentation and open review for shortlist mentees di tanggal 10 Maret. Dan closing and award announcement itu tanggal 25 Maret. Nah, nanti untuk pertanyaan lain yang ingin ditanyakan, mungkin boleh ditanyakan ke mentor masing-masing di grupnya masing-masing mungkin ya. Sekian dari saya, mungkin ada kata-kata dari Bu Gina lagi atau dari mentor sebagai penutup.
Udah cukup, Arsita. Thank you for everything.
Okay, so that's all for today. I think we already finished for our today's session, for the third session. Thank you for all of the mentor and the mentees and for Mr. John to come. Okay.
Good luck ya semuanya. Good luck.
Ya sudah, buang ya.
Good luck.
Thank you everyone.
Thank you,
Enjoy
Pak
Mbak
Budi.
Rina. Mbak
Enjoy
Rina
your
ada di
trip
England
in
ini.
London, in UK.
Thank you.